I want you to picture a scenario.
Yeah.
It's one I think every single person listening to this has felt, usually at the worst possible time.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this. It's a universal feeling.
It is. So you're standing in a coffee shop, or maybe you're at a networking event. Well, the location doesn't really matter. But you are talking to someone in a language that is not your native one, and you have this brilliant thought. Inside your head, in your own language, you are Shakespeare. You are witty, you are insightful, you have the absolute perfect joke lined up.
It's just crystal clear in there, isn't it? The most elegant sentence you've ever thought of.
Crystal clear. And then you open your mouth to speak.
And that's when the silence happens.
The pause, that
Right.
that loading wheel of death you can almost see spinning in your own eyes.
Yeah.
You're standing there, and I can literally feel the sweat starting to prickle on the back of my neck just thinking about it.
Right.
Because what are you doing in that pause? You are just thinking. You're constructing.
You're doing heavy manual labor in your head.
Totally. You're looking for the subject. Okay, got it. Now, where is the verb? Okay, wait, it's past tense. Is that an irregular verb? No, regular. Cool. Okay, add the ed. Now, the preposition, is it in the car or on the car? At the car? What is it?
And by the time you have assembled this Frankenstein's monster of a sentence and you finally, push it out of your mouth.
The moment is gone. The person has looked at their watch, or worse, they're looking at you with that polite, pitying smile.
Yeah.
And you sound clunky.
You sound robotic, not like yourself at all.
Exactly. It feels like you've lost 50 IQ points just by switching languages.
Yeah.
And here is the thing that really frustrates me, and I think frustrates a lot of you listening. The learner profile we talk about so much, we spent years in school learning this stuff. We memorized the vocabulary list. We took the grammar tests. We know the rules. So why can't we speak?
That is the million-dollar question. And the answer, I think, might actually make you feel a lot better, because what if the problem isn't you? It's not that your brain is broken or you're bad at languages. It's that the method you used to learn was fundamentally at odds with how the human brain actually produces language.
Okay, that is a bold claim. You're saying the way we were all taught, the lists, the rules, is actually the bottleneck. It's the thing slowing us down.
I am, and the research really backs this up. Today, we aren't just giving a few tips on how to learn words better. We are talking about a complete architectural shift in how you process English, or any language, really. And it's a method called chunking.
Chunking. It sounds a bit unglamorous, like something you do with soup or maybe data.
It does sound a bit clunky, ironically. But in the world of psychology and linguistics, it is pretty much the holy grail of fluency. It's the difference between building a house brick by yourself versus ordering a prefabricated house that comes in 4 giant pieces and you just snap them together.
I love that image, because if I'm building brick by brick and I forget one single brick or I put it in the wrong place, the whole wall falls down.
Precisely. And that's what happens when you get stuck in a sentence. You're looking for one tiny brick and everything just grinds to a halt.
So for this deep dive, we have a massive stack of sources to help us dig into this. We aren't just making this up. We've got academic papers from the Language Education and Acquisition Research Network. We have the foundational text, a book called The Lexical Approach by Michael Lewis, which is, I'll be honest, a bit of a dense read, but we've gone through it so you don't have to.
We've also got the cognitive science side of things with George Miller's really famous work on memory limits from the 1950s.
And because we want this to be incredibly practical, we know you want to actually use this stuff tomorrow, we pulled a lot of material from the real-world experts. Polyglots like Steve Kaufman and some fantastic YouTube coaches like Keys from Key Speaking Academy and the folks at English Unleashed.
We basically have 3 main goals for this deep dive. Based on the feedback we got from you, we need to cover 1, the why. Why does this actually work? Why does it trick the brain into fluency? 2, the how. We need specific, concrete drills, no vague advice. And 3, the toolkit. What books, apps, and resources can you use to get started?
And we're going to keep this in easy, clear American English, because we know many of you are learning right now. So let's start at the very beginning, the core philosophy of this whole thing.
The shift from thinking in single words to thinking in chunks.
I want to go back to that image of the construction site in the brain.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to unlearn something really fundamental before we can learn this new method.
We absolutely do. It's a deprogramming process.
I found this analogy from Keith Speaking Academy really, really helpful. He talks about bananas.
It's such a great analogy. So simple.
Okay, so imagine you are in a grocery store. You're in the produce section. You need to buy 5 bananas. What do?
Well, normally I'd just grab a bunch of bananas. They grow together. I'd pick up the whole bunch, put it in my cart. Done.
Right. You pick it up once, one motion. Now imagine you were a crazy person. You peel one single banana off the bunch, put it in the cart, go back, peel another one off, put it in the cart. You do that 5 separate times.
You're juggling them. You're probably dropping them. It's slow. It's inefficient.
And everyone in the aisle is looking at you like, why is this person making their life so incredibly hard? But this is exactly what we do with English, isn't it?
It is a perfect analogy. When we learn a sentence like, I would like to go, traditional education treats that as 5 separate bananas. I is the subject. Would is the modal verb. Like is the main verb. To go is the infinitive. We pick them up one by one and try to hold them all in our memory while we're trying to speak.
And that's why we're slow. We're juggling bananas.
That is exactly why we're slow. The chunking method says, stop peeling the bananas, I'd like to go, is not 5 words. In the brain of a native speaker, it is one thing. It is one sound, one unit of meaning. You just grab the whole bunch.
Okay, but wait a minute. I have to play devil's advocate here. Because my old high school English teacher, Mrs. Gable, she would be screaming right now. She'd say, if you don't understand the grammar of why would goes before like, you aren't really learning the language. You're just memorizing noises like a parrot.
And, Mrs. Gable isn't entirely wrong, but she's focusing on the wrong goal. If your goal is to pass a written test where you have to diagram sentences and label all the parts of speech, she's absolutely right. But if the goal is oral fluency speaking in real time, in a conversation, she is, with all due respect, wrong.
Why? What's the fundamental difference there?
Because of a concept called the lexical approach. This comes from Michael Lewis, and it was a pretty radical idea back in 1993. He challenged the entire industry with this one core idea. He said, and I'm quoting here, language consists of grammaticalized lexis, not lexicalized grammar.
Whoa, whoa. Stop the tape. Grammaticalized lexis, not lexicalized grammar. That sounds like exactly the kind of academic jargon we promised to avoid. You have to break that down for me.
Whoa, I know, it's a total mouthful. But it's simpler than it sounds. Let's look at the old way first. Lexicalized grammar. That means you view language as a skeleton of grammar rules. You have a blueprint. And then you plug words, which are called lexis in linguistics, into the empty slots.
Right, so the grammar rules are the boss. The words are just the employees you hire to fill the different positions.
Exactly. The rules come first. But Lewis argued that this is completely backward. He argued for grammaticalized lexis. This means language is mostly just words that naturally hang out together, these chunks. And the grammar is already built right inside them.
It's baked in.
It's baked in. You don't need to add the grammar like it's a spice. It's already part of the recipe.
Okay, give me a real concrete example. Because abstractly, I'm sort of with you, but I need to see it in action.
The perfect example is the phrase long time no see.
Classic. I say it all the time, never even think about it.
Okay, so analyze the grammar for me. Long time no see. Where's the subject? Where's the verb?
Well, see is a verb, I guess, but no see. You can't say no see. Grammatically, you have to say, I haven't seen. And long time isn't a subject. The whole thing is a grammatical mess.
Exactly. If you took this sentence to Mrs. Gable's class, she'd cover it in red ink. It's technically wrong by the strict rules of sentence construction that we all learned. But is it correct, English?
Of course it is. It's perfectly correct. Everyone says it.
And why is it correct? Because it's a chunk. It's a fixed expression. You don't build it. You don't analyze it. You just say it. And here is the kicker. You know exactly what it means. It means, I haven't seen you in a while. You successfully communicated a complex idea about time without ever needing to conjugate the present perfect tense.
So by learning that one chunk, I skipped an entire grammar lesson.
You didn't skip it. You absorbed it. You learned the grammar implicitly. You learned how to use that meaning in the real world without ever needing the blueprint.
That is so freeing. I feel like a weight is lifting off my shoulders. I don't have to be a master architect to live in the house.
Exactly. And this applies to so much of the English language. It's not just a few weird phrases. Our sources break these chunks down into different categories.
Yeah, let's run through these because I think turning it into a kind of game helps you spot them in the wild. I'm going to give you a concept, and you tell me why it's a chunk. Let's start with collocations.
Collocations are fascinating. These are basically words that are married to each other. They sound right together. There's often no deep logical reason why, other than that's just how we say it.
Okay, here's a classic example. Fast food.
Right. We all know what that is. Burgers, fries, the usual suspects.
Now, logically, the word fast means the same thing as quick. They're synonyms. So can I say, I'm going to go get some quick food?
I mean, if you said that to me, I would understand what you mean, but I would immediately, and I mean instantly, think this person is not a native speaker. It just sounds
Right.
wrong.
It sounds off.
It's just off. Fast collocates with food. Quick does not, but quick collocates with shower. You take a quick shower, you don't usually take a fast shower.
Wait, really? I feel like I might say fast shower if I'm really in a hurry.
You can, and people will understand you, but the established common chunk is quick shower. It's about statistical probability. Millions of native speakers have said quick and shower so many times that it's become a solid block.
That is absolutely maddening. How is a learner supposed to know that? You can't look that up in a dictionary.
By stopping the translation process. That's the key. If you translate from your native language, you might pick your word for fast quick and your word for shower and just combine them, and you have a 50-50 chance of getting it wrong. But if you learn the chunk, take a quick shower as one single vocabulary item, you can never get it wrong.
You can't mess up the recipe if you just buy the pre-made cake.
Spot on. Perfect analogy.
Okay, here's another one that trips people up constantly. The difference between make and do. In a lot of other languages, Spanish, French, Italian, there's just one verb that covers both meanings. But in English, we are weirdly specific.
We really are. It's a nightmare for learners.
So do I do a decision or make a decision?
You make a decision, always.
But I do my homework. I don't make my homework.
Correct. And you make the bed, but you do the dishes.
But why? What is the rule? Is make for creating something new and do is for tasks.
People try to create rules like that, but they always fall apart. You make a mistake. Did you create something new? I guess, but do a favor. The real secret is there is no why.
No why.
There's no single elegant rule that covers all of it comfortably. If you look for the logic, you will go crazy. It's just custom. It's a chunk. Make a decision is a chunk. Do the dishes is another chunk.
So the relief here for you, the learner, is stop asking why. Just accept that make a decision is one long vocabulary word.
Yes. Treat it as a single unit. Don't treat it as verb plus article plus noun. Treat it as make a decision. It's one thing.
I love that. Make a decision. It's basically a noun in my head now. Okay, what about polywords?
Polywords are just little fixed phrases that act like single words. Things like by the way, or of course, or upside down.
Upside down is a weird one. I've never actually stopped to think about that. Upside down.
If you analyze it word for word, it's confusing. The upside is now facing down. But we don't think that. We just use it as a single adjective. The picture is upside down. It's one piece of information.
And then there's the most powerful category, I think, for the people listening who want to speak more fluently right now, and those are the sentence frames.
Yes. These are the golden tickets to fluency. These are basically templates where 80% of the sentence is already done for now.
Give me a good example.
A great one is, I tend to.
I tend to. Okay. So that just means usually I do this or it's my habit.
Right. But you learn, I tend to, as a solid block. Now, all you have to do is fill in the blank at the end. I tend to wake up early. I tend to drink coffee in the morning. I tend to agree with you.
You aren't building the sentence from scratch. You're just putting the little cherry on top of a pre-made cake.
Exactly. Or, I find it easy to. That's another great one. Or, my personal favorite, the thing is.
Oh, the thing is. I use that constantly to start sentences when I'm explaining something. The thing is, I'm tired. The thing is, it's more expensive than I thought.
And notice, when you say the thing is, you are not thinking about the noun thing or the verb is. It's just a noise you make to signal, listen up, here comes the main point.
It's like a runway for the airplane of my sentence.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Okay, so we get the philosophy. It's about a mindset shift. Stop building with tiny bricks, start moving pre-assembled walls. But I want to push on the science now, because a lot of people might hear this and think, well, that's just a style of learning. It works for some, not for others. But you're claiming this is biological. This is about how the brain is wired to handle data.
It is. And to really understand this, we have to talk about the bandwidth of the human mind, the processing limits. And for that, we have to go back in time to 1956, to a psychologist named George Miller.
The famous magic number 7 paper.
Exactly. It's one of the most cited papers in cognitive psychology. Miller was looking at what he called working memory. That's the RAM in your brain. It's not your long-term storage. It's the mental workbench where you hold information right now while you're manipulating it.
Okay, so it's not my memory of my childhood phone number. It's the verification code I'm trying to remember from my email to type into a website before it expires.
Exactly that. And Miller found a serious bottleneck. He discovered that the average human can only hold about 7 items of information on that workbench at once, plus or minus 2. So for most of us, it's somewhere between 5 and 9 items.
7 items. That's not a lot. That's a tiny workbench.
It's incredibly small. It's like if you try to put an 8th tool on the workbench, the first tool falls off the other side. You just can't hold it all.
Okay, so let's apply this directly to language. If I'm that guy in the coffee shop trying to build my sentence word by pimple word,
Let's do the math. You want to say a simple sentence. I am on my way. If you treat that as 5 separate words, what happens? 1 I, 2 a.m., 3 on, 4, 5. That is 5 distinct items. You've just filled 5 of your 7 available slots on the workbench just with the words themselves.
so I have 2 slots left. That's all the processing power I have left.
Right, and you need those remaining slots to monitor your pronunciation, to watch the other person's facial expressions, to think about your tone of voice, to listen to the background noise in the cafe.
And that's why I panic. My brain just short circuits. I'm out of RAM.
You are cognitively overloaded. Your brain literally crashes. It drops the data, you stutter, you pause, you forget the word you were looking for.
Okay, if I use chunking,
If you learn I'm on my way as one single prefabricated chunk, how many items is that on your workbench?
it's 1.
It's 1. You have 1 item on your workbench. How many free slots do you have left?
6. I have 6 slots left to be charming. 6 slots to smile. 6 slots to actually listen to what the other person is saying instead of just panicking.
Exactly. This is the biological hack. This is the core reason why chunking leads to fluency. It's not about being smarter or having a better brain for languages. It's about data compression. You were zipping the files so they take up less space in your working memory.
That makes so much sense. It finally explains why even really intelligent people can feel so stupid when they're speaking a new language. They're trying to process huge uncompressed data files in real time.
Precisely. And this connects directly to the other big piece of research we found from 2 linguists named Pauly and Sider back in 1983. They asked a really simple question. Why are native speakers so fluent?
I always just assume that native speakers just have faster processors. Like their brains are just wired differently for English from birth.
It really feels that way, doesn't it? But their research showed something fascinating. Native speakers aren't engaging in high-speed, complex grammatical computation when they speak. They aren't building sentences faster than you are.
They're not. Then what are they doing?
They are remembering sentences.
Wait, say that again? They aren't building, they are remembering.
For the most part, yes. Fluency is retrieval, not creation. A native speaker has a mental library of tens of thousands of these prefabricated chunks stored away in their long-term memory. When they speak, they are just pulling fully formed books off the shelf.
So when I say a phrase like, how's it going? I didn't invent that sentence just now. I just pulled the how's it going file from my brain's library.
Yes. And because you're just retrieving it, your brain doesn't have to work hard at all. It's almost effortless. The learner, however, is trying to write that entire book from scratch, word by word, while standing there in the conversation.
No wonder we're exhausted after speaking English for an hour. We're basically writing a novel in real time, and you native speakers are just quoting lines from movies you've already seen.
It's a bit unfair, isn't it? But that's the game. And there's one more layer to the science that I think is really cool, and it has to do with the actual sound of the language, the phonology.
You mean the native sound, that rhythm and flow that's so hard to copy.
Exactly. Keith from Keith Speaking Academy demonstrates this beautifully in his videos. He talks about how chunking physically changes the shape of the words.
Okay, give us a demo.
Let's take the phrase, when I say. 3 separate words. A learner, thinking word by word, might pronounce them very clearly and distinctly. When AI say.
Very robotic, very clear. When AI say hey.
Now, how does a native speaker actually say that in a flowing conversation?
It's more like when a say.
When they say. It sounds like one word. It almost sounds like a word from a different language. When they say.
Was
It happened. The N from when connects to the I. The I vowel flows smoothly into the S sound of say. If you are listening for 3 separate bananas, you will never hear it. You have to be listening for the whole bunch.
This is why listening comprehension is so hard for so many people. We are listening for the word when and the word I, but the speaker is throwing this one when-a sound unit at us.
Exactly. So learning in chunks helps your listening just as much as your speaking. Once you know the chunk when I say, your brain hears it instantly. You don't have to decode it anymore. It's just one piece of information.
And there's one last academic term I want to throw in here from our sources because it sounds cool. Syntactic priming. This was from the Language Gym source material.
Ah, yes. This is the idea that our brains are, in a way, lazy in a good way. If you hear a certain grammatical pattern, your brain wants to stay in that groove. It primes you or prepares you to use that same pattern again without thinking.
Kind of like when you hear a song with a really catchy beat and you find yourself humming it an hour later.
That's a perfect parallel. You didn't consciously decide to hum it. The song primed your brain's audio circuits. Grammar works the same way. If you hear, I've been waiting for hours, I've been thinking about it, I've been working on this all day, enough times as chunks.
My brain just naturally wants to produce the pattern I've been Xing when I'm in a similar situation.
Yes, you bypass the monitor, you bypass that little anxious grammar teacher that lives in your head and worries about rules. It just comes out naturally because it's been primed.
Okay, so we're sold on the why. The logic is bulletproof. It's more efficient for our brain's memory, it's how native speakers actually operate, and it helps our listening. But now we have to get to the hard part, the how.
The execution, the practical steps.
Because right now, the learner who is listening to this is probably thinking, great, I get it. I want to chunk think, I want to think in chunks. But how do I actually do that? Do I just sit down and read the dictionary?
Yeah, definitely not the dictionary. That's a giant list of single individual bananas.
So what's step one? Where do I start?
Step one is what the experts call noticing and mining. You have to fundamentally shift from being a passive listener of English to being an active hunter.
Ah, hunter. Okay, I like that. What am I hunting for?
You are hunting for groups of words that seem to stick together. Most people, when they watch a Netflix show or listen to a podcast in English, they listen for the story. You know, did the guy get the girl? Who is the killer?
Sure. That's just enjoying the content.
But to learn with this method, you have to listen differently. You have to have a part of your brain listening for phrases that sound smooth, phrases that repeat, phrases that just sound natural. And when you hear one, you have to capture it.
So practically speaking, I'm watching the show Friends. I hear Joey say his famous line, "How you doing?"
Okay, maybe a slightly silly example because that's very specific slang, but yes, the principle is right. You write it down. But you don't just write the words. This is the critical mistake most people make. They just write down, "How you doing?"
What else should I write down?
You need the metadata. You need the context. You should write character, Joey, situation, said to a girl he finds attractive, tone, confident, flirtatious, meaning, a special kind of greeting.
Ah, so I know when and how to use the chunk. Because if I use "how you doing" to my boss in the middle of a serious performance review,
That might not go over so well for you.
you're not getting a raise. How you doing?
Exactly. Context is everything. The folks at English Unleashed suggest keeping a physical notebook, a dedicated chunk bank.
I like the idea of physical notebook. It slows you down, makes you really think about what you're writing.
It does. And focus on those collocations we talked about earlier. If you hear someone say, I need to make a decision, write that whole phrase down. Don't just write down the single word decision. That's a single banana. You want the bunch.
Okay, so I've got my notebook. I'm mining these little diamonds from the podcasts and movies I'm watching. But they're still just sitting on the paper. How do I get them from the page into my mouth?
This brings us to step 2, a technique called shadowing.
Shadowing. I've tried this before, and I have to admit, it feels incredibly awkward at first. I'm just walking around my house, talking to myself, following along with an audio track.
It feels weird, I get it. But it is arguably the most effective way to bridge that gap between passive knowledge, knowing the chunk, and active use doing the chunk. And real shadowing is not just repeating.
What's the difference?
Repeating is you listen to a phrase, you press pause, then you say it. There's a gap.
You speak at the same time as the audio, or just a split second behind it, like a literal echo or a shadow.
Oh, okay. So I'm trying to be their vocal shadow.
You are trying to become them. You aren't just copying the words, you are copying the music of the language, the intonation, the rhythm, the emotion, the places where they pause.
So if the person in the audio clip screams, I should scream too.
Ideally, yes. You want to train the muscle memory of your mouth, your tongue, your jaw. You want your mouth to know what the phrase, "I'm on my way," feels like to produce at native speed.
It's exactly like learning the lyrics to a song. You don't memorize a Taylor Swift song by reading the lyrics on a page. You sing along with her in the car, trying to match her exactly.
That is the perfect way to think about it. You don't analyze the grammar of the chorus. You just feel it, and you sing the melody. Shadowing turns sentences into melodies.
And how long do I have to do this for it to be effective? Because, I'm busy.
5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes.
5 minutes a day. That's all. Pick one small audio clip, maybe 30 seconds of a podcast or a speech, and just shadow that same 30-second clip 10 times. Loop it. I
Yeah.
promise by the 10th time, you won't be thinking about the individual words anymore. You'll just be flowing with the sound.
I can do 5 minutes. Everyone can do 5 minutes. Okay, step 3. This is the one I really want to try out with you right now, the chunking drill. This comes directly from Keith Speaking Academy.
This is a fantastic exercise. It's
Nice.
basically like playing with language Legos. It's fun.
Okay, so explain the rules of the game for us.
The idea is to build a sentence using 3 different types of chunks or blocks. Block 1 is a sentence head, the template. Block 2 is an action chunk, the main idea. And block 3 is an adverb chunk, the extra detail like when or how.
Okay, I'm ready. Give me a sentence head. Block 1.
All right, let's use the one from before. I find it easy to.
I find it easy to. Okay, that's my frame. Now I need an action. Block 2.
Learn new vocabulary.
Okay, I find it easy to learn new vocabulary. Now give me an adverb chunk to finish it off. Block 3.
On the whole.
On the whole. So that means, like, generally speaking.
Exactly.
In general.
Okay, let's snap all 3 blocks together. On the whole, I find it easy to learn new vocabulary.
How did that feel to say?
It felt really smooth. I didn't have to think about grammar or word order at all. I just had 3 solid blocks and I just put them in a row.
Now let's mix it up. Keep the same head. I find it easy to. Give me a different action chunk.
Okay, wake up early.
Good. Now give me a different adverb chunk.
How about at the moment? Perfect, let's combine them. At the moment, I find it easy to wake up early.
It works. It feels like a totally natural, fluent sentence.
It is. And notice you can say it quickly with that native-like connection. At the moment, if it daisido, wake up early, it flows.
Keith makes a really important point about this drill in his video. He says, don't worry if the sentence is true or logical. The point is just to practice connecting the blocks. He says you should make nonsense stories.
Yes, the sillier the better. Let's try one. I tend to.
Eat elephants.
By and large. By and large, I tend to eat elephants.
The logic doesn't matter at all. The brain training is in the connection. You are building a new neural pathway. You are training your brain to snap block A to block B to block C automatically without hesitation.
It takes all the pressure off. You're not trying to say something profound. You're just playing a game.
And that leads directly to the final goal, which is step 4, actually thinking in English.
The Holy Grail. No more translation in your head. When you use chunks, you are naturally doing this already, even if you don't realize it. When you said the phrase on the whole just now, did you translate that in your head? Did you think on top of the entire thing?
No, not at all. My brain just knows that on the whole means generally. The meaning is attached directly to the sound.
That's it. You went from concept, the idea of generally, directly to the English chunk. You completely skipped your native language. There was no middleman.
So the more chunks I have in my mental library, the more of my thinking I can do directly in English.
Precisely. If you have a chunk for I'm hungry, and a chunk for where is the bathroom, and a chunk for I don't really agree with you, then you are fluent in those specific situations. Fluency isn't some magic switch that flips on one day. It's just about collecting enough chunks to cover most of your daily life.
That is such a comforting and achievable way to look at it. It's not about being a linguistic genius. It's just about collecting enough Legos to build what you want.
Just collect the Legos. That's the job.
Okay, so we know what to do. Mine for chunks, shadow them, and drill with them. Now, let's talk tools. Because we know you listening love a good resource. We mentioned some of the books already.
We did. The Lexical Approach by Michael Lewis. It's the Bible for this method, but it is very academic. If you're a real nerd for linguistics, definitely read it.
And for the rest of us who just want to speak better.
Lexical Grammar by Leo Sullivan is a bit more practical, aimed more at teachers and very advanced learners. But honestly, for the average learner, you don't need to read the theory. You need tools that help you consume massive amounts of English content.
Which means we have to talk about Steve Kaufman. He's a legend in the polyglot community.
He really is. He speaks something like 20 languages, and he's in his 70s. He's incredible. And he swears by this input-heavy, chunk-based method. He even built an app for it called LingQ.
Walk us through how that app actually helps with chunking. It's not just a flashcard app, right?
Not at all. So in LingQ, you read a text. It could be a news article, a blog post, a short story. And when you see a word you don't know, you click on it to get a definition. But the magic is You can click and drag to highlight a whole phrase.
So I can highlight the entire chunk at the moment.
Exactly, and you save that entire chunk as a link queue, which is basically a digital flashcard. It saves the phrase to your personal database. So you are actively building that chunk bank digitally while you are reading and enjoying content.
And does he just read? Or is there a listening component?
Oh, the listening is crucial. He talks constantly about massive exposure. He listens to hours and hours of audio. He talks about listening to audiobooks in the car while he's doing chores just all the time.
But here's the thing that always scares me about his advice. He says he listens even if he doesn't understand everything. He says it's okay to only understand 60 or 70%.
That's a critical part of the process. He calls it letting the language wash over you. If you get stressed and pause the audio every time you miss a word, your brain tenses up. You go into panic mode. If you just relax and listen for the general meaning and the rhythm, the chunks naturally start to pop out at you over time.
It's like those old magic eye pictures from the 90s. If you stare too hard and try to force it, you just see a jumble of colors. You have to relax your eyes, kind of look through the page, and then the 3D image of the shark or whatever just appears.
That is a perfect metaphor.
Yeah.
You have to relax your ears to hear the chunks. Don't try to force it.
There's one more tool for the real data geeks out there that we should mention, and that's Corpora.
Yes, a corpus, like C-O-R-P-U-S.
It sounds a bit like a dead body.
Laughs. Well, it's
Yeah.
Latin for body, but in this case, it's a body of text. We're talking about massive databases of language, like the Cobold Bank of English or the British National Corpus. These are databases containing hundreds of millions of sentences from real newspapers, books, websites, and spoken conversations.
So how does a regular learner use something like that? It sounds very academic.
It's actually a super practical reality check. Let's go back to our earlier example. Let's say you aren't sure if you can say powerful coffee.
Okay. I need some powerful coffee this morning. It sounds okay to me, I think.
So you go to one of these free online corpora. You type powerful coffee into the search box, and the database will search its millions of sentences, and it will tell you 0 results found, or maybe 2 results found.
Ouch. Okay. Not a common phrase then.
Then in the same search box, you type strong coffee, and the database comes back and says 5,421 results found.
So it's basically a popularity contest for phrases.
It's a usage contest. It tells you what millions of native speakers actually say, not what they could theoretically say based on grammar rules. It's a fantastic way to verify your chunks and make sure you're learning the most natural sounding ones.
That is a superpower. You don't have to guess or ask a native speaker anymore. You can just check the data.
Exactly. The data doesn't lie.
Okay, before we start to wrap this up, I want to address the elephant in the room. Or maybe I should say the chunk in the room.
What's that?
It's the fear. I know there are people listening right now who are thinking, this sounds like a shortcut. This sounds like I'm faking it. If I just memorize a bunch of phrases, am I really speaking the language? Or am I just a parrot repeating noises?
That is such a deep insecurity for so many dedicated learners.
Yeah.
The imposter syndrome of language learning.
Right. The feeling that I didn't build this sentence myself. I just bought it pre-made at the store. I'm cheating.
Here is the reality check that should make everyone feel better. This comes from linguists like Ehrman and Warren, who've done extensive research on this. They analyzed hours and hours of natural spoken English, and they found that depending on the context, somewhere between 50% and 80% of what native speakers say on any given day is formulaic. It's made of chunks.
Wait a minute. Say that number again. 80%?
Up to 80%.
So you're telling me that when I have a conversation with my friends, I'm not being a spontaneous creative genius. I'm mostly just hitting buttons on a pre-programmed soundboard.
For the most part, yes. You are remixing and rearranging a finite set of chunks. How are you? I'm fine. How are you?
Oh.
Did you see that thing on the news? That's crazy. Anyway, I gotta go. You are just rearranging Lego blocks that you learned when you were 5 years old.
That is incredibly humbling.
But it should also be incredibly liberating. If native speakers are just using chunks 80% of the time, then you aren't cheating by learning and using chunks. You are finally doing exactly what native speakers do. You're playing the same game.
So fluency isn't about being a poet who creates beautiful original sentences every time they speak. It's just about having a really, really big bucket of Legos to play with.
That is it. That is the entire secret. Fluency is having a bigger bucket of Legos.
I love that. It makes this huge, scary mountain feel so much more climbable. You don't have to conquer the whole mountain at once. You just have to pick up one new Lego block today.
One by one. Or maybe bunch by bunch, to stick with our banana analogy.
So let's wrap this up with a clear challenge for you, the learner. We've given you the theory, the drills, the tools. What do you do today, right after this is over?
I want you to go find 3 chunks. Just 3.
Don't go crazy. Don't try to learn a list of 50.
Please don't. That will just overwhelm you. Go to a short YouTube video, maybe check out English Unleashed or Keith's Speaking Academy since we mentioned them, or just put on your favorite song in English.
Yeah.
And just find 3 phrases that sound cool or useful.
And write them down in your new notebook with the context. Who said it, when, why.
I tend to, on the whole, long time no see,
Yeah.
whatever they are, write them down and then say them out loud 10 times until they feel smooth and comfortable in your mouth.
And then try to use them. Talk to your cat. Talk to yourself in the mirror. It doesn't matter.
Just get them off the page and into your active memory. That's a first step.
It all starts with 3.
Starts with 3.
This has been fantastic. It's completely changed how I look at my own language skills and even my native language. I'm going to go analyze my own speech patterns for chunks now.
Be careful. You'll never be able to unhear them. You'll hear chunks everywhere.
I know. I'm ruined. Thanks so much for this deep dive. And to all of you listening, go get those bananas.
Grab the whole bunch. Talk to you next time.